yourself feeling really defensive and reactive to an employee's criticism or feedback, and it's very easy when you get into that state to also hate that you're not being a team player and to hate that you're having this reaction that you think is an overreaction. Like, it's really easy to kind of blame yourself and think, why am I acting this way? Why am I not just cool and going along with the feedback? And the reason why is that when somebody gives you feedback that in a way feels condescending or that is coming from a place of not trusting your own insights and authority at your job, then it's normal to react with this kind of powerlessness. That's what you're actually feeling underneath. You're feeling as though you're feeling as though you're not seen or accepted or understood or trusted. So there's a sense of feeling, I guess, micromanaged. And so when somebody comes at you with this lack of trust and kind of going through each item that you've done and saying what you need to do, it's normal to be defensive and reactive. But you are right to kind of, like, this is a valid reaction, but it's also not a valid reaction because, of course, you don't want to be the person that can't take criticism at work. You don't want to be the person that's too sensitive and defensive and reactive and people start walking around eggshells with you because you're like that, right? You don't want to be that person that's not the team player. However, you are reacting to something that puts you in a place where you feel like you are not respected, understood, seen. And so it's this hard mix of, okay, you are valid, but also kind of keep it together. So my way of dealing with this, because for me, I tend to have when I am working with somebody, I tend to have a lot of trust, and I have a very to each their own, and they turn something into me. I don't have a tendency to want to control every little element of how it is just because I would do it differently. Like, I'm in a lot of writing workshops. We're all writing our own fictional stories, so I don't have a need to make your story what my point of view is, or my style your point of view. Like, when I read someone's story and it's a third-person thriller, I'm not trying to turn it into a voice-driven comedy because that's what I write. I am going along with what their existent voice and idea is to make it better, right? And so the thing that really bothers me about that level of micromanaging is this kind of assuming that that vision that person has, that they're kind of forcing on you, is the way, the right way, and the objective way. Because, for instance, if you're getting feedback on social media posts, and these social media posts are about things that you've researched, and then you present them, and then if their notes are actually coming from a place of, it almost seems nitpicking and not really actually adding value or adding a level of insight and help that would boost it and enhance it, then it does feel like just kind of attacking for attacking's sake and kind of nitpicking for nitpicking's sake. So let's say you've got a situation where you turned in some work to someone to review, and they're going to review it, and you know that they're going to come back with a lot of nitpicky things that you may not subscribe to. You may think this person is forcing their way of seeing things on me. They don't seem to have trust that I know what to do, and that's frustrating. But you're working on not being in that defensiveness and that reactivity, because when you react, if you come back at them with, somebody gives you feedback and you immediately counter it with like, I have a tendency to do this over-explaining response where I'm like, oh, well, this, I did this because of this, and then this, I did this because of this, and then this. Like, all that comes across to that person is defensive, sensitive, annoying, not a team player. So you've got to put that reaction, don't send it to them. Just write that out yourself on your paper. Get that rant out on your own. Vent it on your own paper, just like a note to yourself, a note to your younger self. Get that out. And then for a reaction, keep it really terse. Like sometimes, here's the thing that's hard with it is sometimes you're caught between, do I just go along with their view of reality even though it is actually inaccurate and incorrect and actually not unproductive? But then at least I'm avoiding the fight and looking like a team player. Do I let it fail by just going along with their version of things until I can do what I need to do? Or do I explain, hey, this is actually going to get more views. We should do it like this way. This is how this works. How do you navigate being the follower or just rising up and being the leader and explaining, hey, I'm an authority here. This is how it works. I'd say that you've got to, if you've already had a bunch of reactions, like I have, where you've kind of done that over-explaining and countering, then you've got to have a new way. Otherwise, they're just always going to anticipate that you rise up and have that. So this time, be terse. Oh, okay, thanks. And then just say okay with a smile on your face. And sometimes you can just say that and then not fix everything. Fix things as you want to do it. Do what you still take the feedback that works and leave the rest. And then if they bring it up again, say, oh, I missed that. Or maybe bring it up as the person that says, well, actually, this would actually work better. But it's tough. It's really tough to navigate, especially when there's this kind of idea where there's this kind of, you have to show you're a team player and that you don't have an ego. Well, sometimes being so egoless that everyone is just a robot and you're churning out vanilla, or not even vanilla, but like gray pigeon poop content that's so lacking of any flavor and any kind of like flicker of personality because it's so safe. Well, that's actually a problem, So, but you do have to put your head down and take it. When you're new, you have to put your head down and take it as you're feeling things out, as you're feeling people out, as you're feeling the dynamic out. So, but realize that a micromanager, they have issues of control, and I think that something that kind of gets them out of that is almost checking in with them too much so that they're uncomfortable, and then they're like, hey, just leave me alone and do it. But it's tough. It's something I'm still navigating, but I definitely notice that there's this tendency of me when I have a bunch of micromanaged feedback that I can feel myself getting very defensive, reactive, and wanting to explain. And I'm definitely not going to let myself get caught in that kind of emotional trap, because what it is it's really me feeling like they don't trust me, that I can do a good job, and that makes me feel powerless and not appreciated, not seen, and not trusted. But what they're doing is they have their way, or they kind of think this is the way, instead of thinking there are many ways. And you just got to go with their way until you get a chance to then, try some other trial and error and present your ideas when they're more receptive. But they're not going to be receptive if you react with defensiveness. That's just going to make you seem like somebody that's like way too in their ego and kind of oversensitive, overreactive, and just like they feel like, oh, I can't say anything to this person. So be careful how you play it. Like, it's hard to put your head down when know that there could be a more productive or more efficient or just more insightful way of doing something. But sometimes at the beginning, you've gotta swallow your tongue, have your venting session on your paper, but then have your okay and see what happens. Like, just remember, like, you don't have to, it's also a matter of if there's some gatekeeper that's before the actual person that this content is for. And so that's when it's like, well, of course you'd take the feedback of the person that this is for, but you don't want to taking the feedback of the person who almost just wants to assert themselves. That's kind of the problem. So they're needing to feel important. You're needing to feel important. Let them feel important and let them feel like, hey, thank you so much for trying to make this better. In my experience, this is a thing. Maybe we could try this. Like, just really massage your words and try to not get reactive to a micromanager, or they'll micromanage and clinch even harder. They'll double down. And doubling down doesn't help. So I hope this was helpful in dealing with micromanagement.